of my favorite new gen mangas, right? It's called Eden Zero. I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't heard of it. And while catching up on the most recent chapters, I was wondering why don't a lot of people talk about this? It was written by the same person who wrote Fairy Tail, and sure, Fairy Tail had a lot of backlash, but people overall, from a lot of people that I know personally, seem to enjoy the show. While it did, extend and always drew to the fact of the power of friendship overtakes literal godlike feats. But while in this manga they do something very similar, and there are things in this that are directly ripped off from Fairy Tail, I still think that Eden Zero might be the most slept on new gen of all time. And let me just explain why. You see, Eden Zero is as if you took the components of Fairy Tail, right? And you did it right. You have the main character Shiki, who is just so much cooler than Natsu, but still has that, headspace of your typical shonen MC who cares about his friends and whatnot. He has the character design as if he is Gray and Natsu put together. So he's got that, black bluish hair, but he's also got that face and that smile that Natsu has. And then you have the side character, it's made the same way that Fairy Tail is kind of made, where you have the, female protagonist, and then you have, the hero who comes in. Same thing with Lucy and Natsu, how technically, the story starts off with Lucy, but then Natsu comes in and kind of takes over the show. It's the same thing here. But in this one, you have a B-cuber, it's kind of like YouTube. She comes in, and her camera is just Happy. He's called Happy and everything. They took components from the show, and they ripped them out, and then brought them into this show. But the problem with Fairy Tail, in my opinion, that made a lot of people hate it, was the fact that it never, besides the fact that it wrote on friendship 100% of the time, it never had a goal. They were always out on missions doing XYZ that led to a goal. This starts off with a goal. They have a goal that they want to reach Mother. And I think animes that are structured that way tend to do a lot better, because there's a goal that's in sight, but it's so far that you have so much that you can do in between. But see, when you're changing the goal up a lot like they did in Fairy Tail, it gets a lot harder. One reason why Dragon Ball Z was able to do that successfully, though, was most likely because of, they had time in between each action, which made it, easier for them to make a timeline as to why these things happened over time. But also Dragon Ball Z was able to do these things because they were kind of, around the originating of, shonen becoming big in the first place. All these cliches that that a lot of people hate Dragon Ball Z for, they're like, it's too cliche. They were the thing that made it cliche. They were the first. But they've been able to change up their villains and not really have an ending goal, because the characters themselves have had different goals that they've all been trying to achieve, that they put into the villains as a way for them to achieve them. But Fairy Tail never really had that like Dragon Ball or other animes that do. But see, with Eden Zero, what they did was they took all the good components. They took Lucy, they took Natsu, they took Urza, they took, this came right from, they took the Element 4, and they restructured them in a way so that it's different now. They built the show around a new premise, essentially. They put it on a galactic scale. They gave you an end goal that you're waiting for them to achieve, which is they're trying to reach Mother all the way out in a totally different galaxy. And they are now striving towards that. And yeah, sure, you have all these things. And one thing that I'm reminded of, which it's not even close to as good, but I get a lot of One Piece vibes from this, but for the sole reason that they like sail around on a ship heading towards a goal that many others have tried to get to before, right? And the thing about it is that type of way of having it, where it's something that everybody has tried to do, but then you follow this specific cast of characters finding their way to this goal because you have others who are also trying to achieve it, or have achieved different things and they want different things. This show changes it because One Piece is set around everybody. You know, they all want to be the king of the pirates. They want the One Piece. However, the way that this show built itself, you have them wanting to see Mother. You know, they want to reach there. But then you have their obstacles aren't always people who want to reach that same goal, because sure, you get something. I think you get to be, you get reborn, and anything you want is granted, kind of like the Dragon Balls. But like anything you want is granted when you reach Mother and you get to be reborn. But not everybody wants that. The villains in this show, sure, you can like easily see the resemblance that they took from the previous work, but they took that and they made it better by changing their purpose in the show. Like, you have, I'm not trying to spoil too much, which is why it sounds like I might be saying a lot of the same stuff, but you have this dude named Draken Joe, and he's not really out for the same stuff. And then you have someone who looks exactly like Urza. Yeah, I get it. Like, clearly he enjoyed the way he did things the first time, but he wanted to take those ideas and push them in a different direction. And I think this show is most likely, you know, fully slept on because, you know, people have seen Fairy Tail and they're like, hey, it's by the same dude. There's gonna be no difference. It's the exact same show all over again, because they see the characters, and I understand that. But for the new anime fans who might be watching this video, I'm gonna give you a real quick tip of advice. Don't let your anime opinions be shaped by the Instagram accounts and other people that you hear it from. Watch them for yourself.